South Asia, once perceived as a region of growth and opportunity, is now grappling with significant challenges. Countries like Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Nepal are facing political protests and economic difficulties. Nevertheless, there is a strong desire for reform and a brighter future. This discussion examines the current situation in the region and the efforts being made to create change. In 2022, Sri Lanka experienced its worst economic crisis. After enduring a 30-year civil war, Sri Lanka began anew when the conflict ended in 2009. The economy initially grew rapidly, reducing poverty to just 7%, one of the lowest rates in Asia. The government initiated large projects to attract investors and tourists, fostering a sense of hope for the future. However, this progress came at a cost. Sri Lanka took out numerous loans for major projects that failed to attract sufficient investors or tourists. For instance, the Matala Rajapaksa International Airport has been dubbed the world's emptiest airport due to the lack of flights and income it generates. It is now used to store rice. The Rajapaksa family, once celebrated for ending the civil war, became scapegoats for the country's economic troubles by 2022. The Rajapaksa government's controversial projects, particularly its ties with China, like the Hambantota port, ultimately undermined Sri Lanka's sovereignty. A terrorist attack in 2019 significantly harmed the tourism industry, and the onset of COVID-19 in 2020 caused tourism to cease entirely. The pandemic exposed serious vulnerabilities in Sri Lanka's economy, which struggled to compete with other nations. In 2022, the war in Ukraine caused oil and gas prices to surge, crippling Sri Lanka's economy. With dwindling foreign currency reserves, the government could not afford oil and gas imports, resulting in long lines at gas stations as citizens suffered in the heat. This turmoil led to widespread protests, with citizens storming parliament and the president's palace. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled the country, marking the end of the Rajapaksa family's rule. Bangladesh, once a rising star in South Asia, faced its most significant political crisis in 2024. Corruption, failed large projects, and foreign pressure pushed the country to a breaking point. Corruption is rampant, with billions disappearing in scandals like Hallmark and Bismillah. Politicians take out large loans that they never repay, while wealthy families hide their money abroad. Ordinary citizens continue to struggle with rising prices. Every year, billions leave Bangladesh as political families purchase luxury homes overseas, particularly in Canada's Begumpara, while the poor continue to suffer. The ruling Awami League, led by Sheikh Hasina, faces intense criticism for its corruption, with a reputation for election fraud and restrictions on press freedom. India supports Hasina's government, often prioritizing stability and trade deals that benefit Indian companies, which has incited anger among protesters. Mega projects like the Padma Bridge, Rupur nuclear plant, and Dhaka Metro Rail have cost billions, but frequently fail to deliver real benefits. These initiatives encounter high costs and corruption-filled contracts, leaving ordinary citizens with few advantages. In 2024, Sheikh Hasina won the elections, sidelining the opposition BNP party. This led to massive protests with accusations of electoral fraud. Hasina responded by cracking down on opposition leaders, resulting in further violence. The police employed tear gas, rubber bullets, and mass arrests, leading to numerous deaths and injuries. India's visible support for Hasina only intensified hostility against India among protesters, who accused it of backing a corrupt regime. Eventually, growing unrest encircled Hasina's home, forcing her to flee to India for safety. Pakistan, India's most significant rival, is currently facing a serious crisis. The country is grappling with rampant corruption, an overwhelming debt crisis, and a series of ambitious projects with China that have largely fallen short. Initiatives like the Gadani Power Project and the Quaid-e-Azam Solar Park, aimed at improving energy production and infrastructure, have suffered from mismanagement and delays, resulting in questionable deals. Consequently, Pakistan finds itself burdened with enormous loans that are increasingly difficult to repay. Additionally, projects such as the Pakistan Textile City have exceeded initial cost estimates, leaving citizens faced with soaring bills and a struggling economy. Today, Pakistan's debt exceeds 76 trillion rupees, with nearly half of the government's budget directed toward interest payments alone. This year, $23 billion in foreign debt payments are due, adding to the financial stress. In 2022, public frustration erupted into large-scale protests across the nation, which often turned into violent clashes. This unrest resulted in dozens of fatalities and hundreds of injuries, eventually leading to Imran Khan's resignation as prime minister. His subsequent arrest on corruption charges deepened the anger among his supporters. His party, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf (PTI), maintained momentum with relentless campaigns demanding his release and calling for significant reforms, keeping protests alive for months. The situation has not improved. The economy remains under tremendous pressure, public discontent is at an all-time high, and political tensions continue to escalate. Compounding these issues, Pakistan's relationship with India has deteriorated once again, with cross-border attacks, militant incidents in Kashmir, missile strikes, and airspace closures heightening fears of a larger conflict. Now, Pakistan faces the daunting task of navigating economic reforms, managing its debt, investigating corruption, and addressing political protests, all while keeping a close watch on India. The populace is frustrated, the economy is in turmoil, and the political landscape is volatile. It's a complex situation, and the future of Pakistan hangs in the balance. Similarly, Nepal reached a critical juncture in September 2025 due to a political and economic crisis fueled by widespread corruption, rising debt, and a controversial social media ban. The government accumulated over 2.65 trillion Nepalese rupees, around $20 billion in public debt, with significant amounts owed to China and India. Infrastructure projects like the Malamchi water supply project, financed by Chinese loans, faced delays and cost overruns, leading to serious corruption allegations. Nepalese officials were accused of soliciting kickbacks from contractors, and the project's completion was repeatedly stalled by bureaucratic red tape and mismanagement. The situation escalated dramatically when the government banned 26 social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and X, citing regulatory compliance issues. This sparked the Gen Z protests, primarily fueled by young people already disillusioned by corruption and economic inequality. The demonstrations quickly intensified into violent confrontations, with protesters storming and setting fire to government buildings, including the parliament. At least 73 individuals lost their lives, and over 2,000 sustained injuries. In light of the chaos, prominent politicians such as Home Minister Ramesh Lekak resigned, and Prime Minister Khadga Prasad Sharma Oli stepped down. In the aftermath, the political landscape transformed as unconventional methods were employed to restore order. Utilizing platforms like Discord, political factions successfully coordinated the appointment of an interim president, bypassing traditional constitutional processes. Former Chief Justice Sushila Karki was appointed as the interim prime minister, making history as the first woman to hold that position. She has committed to implementing anti-corruption reforms and restoring stability to the nation. What does the future hold for South Asia? The path to recovery remains uncertain, but there are signs of hope. Sri Lanka is making significant progress. It has successfully lowered inflation, increased foreign currency reserves, and restructured its debt with the IMF. Under the new far-left government led by Anurakumara Dissanayake, there is a strong commitment to addressing corruption and drug-related issues, which aim to rebuild public trust in the government. However, challenges persist, including a high poverty rate of 23%, and the potential effects of Trump's tariffs could jeopardize this progress. In Nepal, a new prime minister has been elected amidst political discord, complicating the country's future. Bangladesh is showing fragile signs of recovery, but with high inflation and low foreign reserves, it is still too early to draw definitive conclusions. Pakistan faces more pronounced challenges, such as ongoing protests, low growth rates, and high inflation. The recent conflict with India has cast a shadow over its economic outlook. However, the changing dynamics in U.S.-India relations and the potential impact of Trump's tariffs might create new opportunities for Pakistan's economy. Can these countries recover? There is potential, but it will require resilience and strategic navigation through their respective challenges. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments.